Hello fellow plant people, welcome back if you're returning to my channel. If you're new, my name is Jen. I go by the Leafy Geek here and also on Instagram. And due to my neighbor's sudden aptitude for lawn maintenance, you are stuck with voiceover Jen for the duration of this video. But I think in a lot of ways, this video kind of speaks for itself. I wanted to show you my spring garden, and as of the filming of this video, which was Saturday the 22nd, that is all I have remaining to plant. Everything else is in the ground or in pots where they should be. And this garden is about 95% grown from seed. A feat I'm very proud of. So let me show you. What I wanted to expand on this year, something that I attempted last year, was creating a space on my patio that was available for gardening. And the reason why that section is blocked off and that entrance to the garden is so narrow is because of this little girl. This little girl has been recovering from surgery and loves to be outside. The problem is that section of the yard where those pots are is a very steep hill, and I don't want her going down that hill anytime soon with her leg as she recovers from her surgery. So I thought it was a good opportunity to create a little patio garden space where it gets some sun. And then I also have this space right here. This is the container that houses my patio furniture cushions, but currently houses some tamarillo plants. And these plants are wonderful. I don't expect any fruit from these. I think they need much warmer climate and they need to be in a bigger space, but they are just very fun. They germinated this winter and I don't have the heart to put them in the trash or anything. And I've heard tamarillos don't necessarily bloom until their second year. Right here I have a sweet pepper. This is a Corbaci sweet pepper, two different plants here that I will be moving into a larger grow bag in the yard. And then interspersed with my vegetables here, my edible plants, are houseplants. So you saw there an aloe, and I also have a small kale here. And then these pots just kind of house a hodgepodge of things. I've got some alpine strawberries up front, a sweet pepper. I think this one is the Between the Lines collage pepper. And then I've got some chard and pansies sharing a pot together. And of course, fennel. I'm growing fennel in this pot for the fronds specifically. I don't expect any bulbs. They're just planted way too tight in here. But I will certainly grow fennel for the fronds. And eventually I might let this flower and let the bees enjoy it. In this larger grow bag on the patio, I've elevated it a bit for drainage. But I have some strawberries, some tiny Tim alyssum, which is blooming. I'm thrilled about this. And then some variegated nasturtiums in the center. Then of course, my succulents. I deconstructed my cactus garden that was in this particular terracotta bowl, and I'm using it for my succulents this summer. Those are recently planted. And I'll show you what I've done with my cactus. Of course, this is my seating area, and if you don't mind me saying, I think my view is quite spectacular right now. So here are my cacti. I have moved them up onto these rings. I had houseplants, varying types of sun-loving houseplants out there last summer, but I figured these cacti will enjoy this, where they get a little bit of direct sun and then a whole lot of strong afternoon sun. Something I love to do in the summertime is decorate my patio railing, and this is no exception. With the addition of these two planters, I've been able to effectively have a salad garden on my patio this year, which is wonderful. I have a few different varieties of lettuce. Some, as you can see, are doing quite well, and some are struggling a bit. But I will have some baby leaf lettuce that I can pick at a whim. Hopefully this watercress comes up soon. And then the rest of my railings are decorated with various houseplants. I have some hanging ferns here. These are variegated Boston ferns. Got a variegated agave, a Milky Way, cast iron plant, and of course some additional baby tamarillos scattered throughout. I moved my ponytail palm out here as well. So plants that just like to be outdoors. I can't keep a Boston fern indoors to save my life, but these are beautiful for now. I got them this year strictly with the knowledge that they likely would not come inside at the end of the season. I also have this rescued Tradescantia that I'm trying to rehab a bit. Hopefully it's enjoying its time outside now, where the light is a little bit better. And then of course I've got a bird's nest fern over in this corner, this quite shady corner that's illuminated by some patio lighting, solar lighting there. And then this Dischidia that I feel like it's on the way out. I think it's got spider mites again. Not entirely sure, so now it lives outside. And then additional ambiance that I've created for myself in this space are thanks to these wonderful allium lights. They look like starbursts when they're illuminated at night. They're absolutely gorgeous, magical. They create this magical, whimsical space that I absolutely adore. So this is my patio space as it stands right now, but I think it's time to explore the garden. I love coming out to my main vegetable plot right as the sun is going down. The light it casts is absolutely beautiful. And as you can see, my main vegetable plot is about 15 by 25 feet, and it's almost full at this point. Right by the gate, we've got some leek and some asparagus that I've seeded. Next row over are my peppers. I've got a couple of sweet peppers up front here, and then the rest of these along this drip tube are hot peppers. So they kind of line up. Did two of each variety kind of together. And then I've got this beautiful tromboncino squash. Next line over are the tomatoes, and I've planted them a little bit closer this year. I've staked them up, so going to stay on top of the pruning, but these are all heirloom variety tomatoes. Interplanted with these fabulous Kilimanjaro white marigolds. They look like ferns. They're absolutely tropical. I'm going to post the names of these varieties as I kind of hover over them with my camera. I'll make sure the names are on the screen. And then here and there where I could find some room along the drip lines, I have eggplant. I have 3 different eggplants planted in the garden. This Listata de Gandia. Then I have a Chinese string eggplant over here by the cabbages. And way at the end, there's a tiny Thai round eggplant. I'm not sure that'll make it, but moving on to the lettuces. As you can see, desperately need to weed. That is on my task list coming up, but recently sowed some different varieties of lettuce. Again, make sure that the names are on the screen if you cannot read the tags. But limited success with a couple of different varieties, unfortunately. So I did end up sowing a little bit late. So we'll see how they do. I'm all for experimentation and learning. The spinach did come up very well though. And then I have 2 different varieties of radishes planted here. And then 2 different varieties of carrots. I don't know if you can see this tiny stoic line of Parisienne carrots through the weeds here. But they're there. And then my Danvers are doing quite well. I might need to extend my irrigation, my drip tubes. I don't think I have the best coverage at this point for everything that needs it. So that's something I'm going to work with. Another variety of squash here. I believe that is the hulless acorn squash. I'm going to train all of my squashes up these trellises. Again, I'm going to have to be quite diligent about that. That and the irrigation. This drip tube is a new feature this year. My garden is kind of a hybrid this year, so you can see I have things in rows, but they're planted quite close together, and you know, that was somewhat intentional because I wanted to grow more varieties. Those were kohlrabi that I was just on with the camera. Here's another squash. All of the squashes I made sure that were on a drip line. That's the pétisson panaché. It's a patty pan squash. Then I've got collard greens and kale over on this side. But everything is quite tight and has a place, and it's going to require some extensive pruning. These are cherry tomato varieties. I've got an Isis candy cherry and a Bosque blue bumblebee. Then of course I've got rhubarb in this corner. That's a new addition this year. And the fennel right there. I'm growing bulb fennel in this garden. So you can see somewhat of a hybrid model in terms of intensive planting versus row planting. Some vegetables I just find need rows. But again, it's an experiment. Everything is a happy experiment. Some things might work, some things might not, but you've got to try. Turning to the space that is just adjacent to my larger vegetable plot. This is my small fenced-in yard. This is the place where Hound Dog gets to romp and play when she's feeling better. And every single inch of growing space in this area is brand new this year. I've never grown things here before, and I was excited to try. And I'm experimenting with grow bags in this space. I do have the Smart Pot brand grow bags. In this first one, I have my slightly sad looking transplants. These are mosaic yard-long beans, and as you can see, they are suffering a bit. I think it might just be a little too cold, but they do have some blossoms and some new growth on them here and there, so I'm holding out hope. And I've underplanted this grow bag with some more alpine strawberries. I had a lot of those germinate, which was delightful. Never can have too many strawberries, in my opinion. Next door, we have one tomato that I did not have room for in my larger grow space. This is the orange peach. And then moving on to what is hands down my favorite element in my garden. This is a 50-inch grow bag, the Big Bag Bed from the Smart Pot brand. And I've got spring leaf vegetables in here. I've got dwarf pak choi, I've got mizuna. This flat-leafed variety is delicious. I've already sampled quite a bit for my salad lunches. And then I also have tatsoi, Chinese cabbage. Got 2 varieties of tatsoi in there, and then 3 varieties of mizuna. This is the golden frill. And then this beautiful red tatsoi. And then I do have some surprise snow peas coming up. These were my insurance peas that I had planted when it looked like my transplants were failing, and they are coming up with a vengeance. I think that's funny. So this garden is so beautiful. This little raised bed, and then here is the scarlet frill mizuna. Just gorgeous. I was so thrilled that I had this idea to plant some of these delicious Asian vegetables in here. And then over here is the flower bed that I hacked out of the earth and edged with these pavers, these recycled pavers myself. I'm very proud of this space here. So I've planted it with a mix of edible flower and non-edible flower. These beautiful little alyssum that edge the border. Got some purple opal basil in there. I had some bee balm as well in a few different places. And then snapdragons line the edge. I'm hoping they will get tall enough to kind of obscure that fence. Right now they're still quite small. And then, of course, zinnias. And I've planted in drifts that kind of repeat throughout the space. So I've got queen lime with blush, I've got Cinderella peach, I've got a few of these sun patience scattered throughout, and then my edging are these delightful little pansies, a few different varieties. I'll make sure to post an update when they start blooming, but they are just about to pop. And then my muscari, right behind them, added some really wonderful texture and height. And I think they're just about done, but look at this beautiful little variety of viola pansy. I think that's the brush strokes. And then these are the apricot. So yeah, I tried to ensure that there was some harmony by some repetition throughout the space. It's kind of anchored by the snapdragons in the back, and then I do also have some rose bushes every so often, kind of in the central spaces. I've punctuated with 3 rose bushes. But as you can see, I've got this larger drift here of shorter snapdragons. I tried to be mindful of height as well, keeping the shorter flower varieties in front. So sweet, this alyssum. And here are the rose bushes in question. I have 2 oh-so-easy Italian ices, and this central one is a Ringo variety. Disease resistant, they say, and hardy to my zone. Some celosia scattered through as well. Again, I really attempted to create some balance and harmony between the far west side and the far east side of this flower bed. So you can see there's a repetition there with the bee balm and the purple basil, the zinnias, the alyssum, and then the ornamental kale kind of cements the two corners there. I also have some white African daisies, and in the very corner there is a bachelor's button. I'm so excited to see this grow up. Onto the western fence, I do have some herbs. I wanted to keep this space fairly clear, close to the ground, for Hound Dog, so she has a place to kind of look out and not be obstructed. So I opted to try these hanging grow bags, and it's not the same brand as the grow bags I have on the ground, the larger planters, and I have mixed feelings about them. Namely, every time you water, things tend to run forward and out, including water, soil, and so I have mulched them to try and keep moisture in, and also just to try to keep everything in. In this grow bag, I have some Okinawa pink okra. And I will be planting my banana into the ground this year, just to see what happens. Finally, the space up next to the house. I opted to do 3 large grow bags with a variety of things. I have a canna lily bulb in the center of each, punctuated by a few snapdragons that I had left over, and some pansies. These are the Black King pansies. So we'll see how these grow bags do. The light is middling at best. They get some great morning and great afternoon light, but I know the cannas might suffer for that, not having the full day of full sun. Thank you for coming with me on my spring garden tour. I hope that you all are well, and maybe even have the chance to create and enjoy your own beautiful outdoor spaces.